Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. And as always, thank you for all your support, including sharing, chatting, liking, and subscribing. Now roll that famous logo animation! Good evening, and welcome back to Computerized Start Live. I'm your host, Justin D. Morgan. And let's see who we have in the chat. I think we have an action-packed IIsi stream. But we got a few things to get to before we get to that part of the stream. So we have Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Hi, Dave. We have Thomas Armstrong asking, am I on just in time? Yes, I believe you were just in time. We have SadMac356. Hi, SadMac. We have Hardware Hacker Eep. Hi, Hardware Hacker. We have Got Bomb. Yay, I'm on time for once. Hi, Jason. We have David Starbuck. Hi, David. All right, we got the Coffee Go link is in the description. And so we can get to the IIsi as quickly as possible before the dinosaur decides to eat my IIsi. We have the following.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our favorite segment, Wheel of Regrets. Here's your host, Justin D. Morgan.
Hey, who comes up with these titles anyway?
And we have Joe's Computer Museum coming to us from VCF Midwest. Hi, Joe. And coming to us from an undisclosed workbench in Central Virginia, we have our first potential regret from an eBay seller in Texas. So, hi to all my eBay sellers and viewers in Texas. And you all are probably wondering what in the world this could be. I'm just waiting for Jason to say, if that's a VIC-20, I'm just waiting for someone else to guess something else. Ah! Jason says, too small. Well, I tried, folks. I tried. We have a priority mailbox inside of a envelope. As SadMax says, I swear if it's DVDs. David Starbucks says, it's a +4. Thomas Armstrong says, oh no. Garth says, illegal use of USPS box reported. Hi, Garth, welcome. That Hardware Hacker guesses VIC-10. Thomas Armstrong says, no wonder USPS can't make money. Yeah, all the eBay sellers are using their packaging. Oh, at least this eBay seller made it so I can reuse the box. So yes, I will throw that in my new USPS box pile. So, we have more bubble wrap. Any last guesses before I potentially get far enough down that you'll know what this is? Garth says, JDMCS, please send me a present, e.g. Trident ISA card in that box. Yes, Garth guessed it. Kurt says, lol. Nice, it's already packed for me. Oh, darn, I just unpacked it. Oh, well, it might have to go in the item that's below it. Anyways, yes, we have a Trident card, but not just any Trident card. Oh, no. This one might be the specialist of the Trident cards that I have. Because Trident had to start somewhere. And I believe the TVGA 8800 BR might be their first video chip. And oh. It looks like there's a solder mask blob there. But anyways, yes, we have the Trident. It's VGA. It's 8-bit. It has, I believe, 256K of RAM on it. Capcom says before Trident they were Duodent. I am pushing the RAM chips in. It does feel as if they got unseated during shipping. Number of that chip socket. Oh, that's weird that chip socketed. What is that? That is that is a PAL chip. And I think yes, so there's the BIOS, and I think that's going to be the RAM DAC. Probably. And there's a PAL chip. There's our Trident chip. And there's its 3 oscillators. Common for early VGA chips to have 3 oscillators to drive their clock, clock for the VGA signal. And in fact, actually, these are, I think, typical values you sometimes see on those early VGA cards. 25.175 megahertz. Or, excuse me, 25.175000 megahertz. Or they could have removed the period and added some commas and put it in hertz, but whatever. 28.322000 megahertz and 40 on the dot megahertz. I hope these are good citizens. David Starbucks says, Trident cards never fail, except when they do. Yes, we will have to test this at some point. But anyways, yes, it is an early Trident card. I'm sure its performance will be indicative of its age. And it looks like this card was either sold or purchased on July 27th, 1990, which would make this card 35 years old, plus some 06/27/13. Interesting. Well, it's 1990, obviously. Anyways. All right, so there's a Trident card. So you all know that I do keep you all in mind. Yeah, the card edge could use a little deoxit. And it's got some tantalums on it, yes. But speaking of tantalums on it, this next potential eBay regret, which I have already unboxed so that I could put the shipping box out with the rest of the trash, comes to us from an eBay seller in Florida. So hi to all my eBay sellers and viewers in Florida. Hope the weather's nice down there, David. And we have a very non-Macintosh item on the workbench. Speaking of tantalums. Yes, now, of course, I'm going to leave the identity of this computer a slight mystery for a few moments, and I will let everyone guess what it is. Thomas Armstrong thinks it's a 5170. Oh, David Starbucks says it's going to be in the 60s this weekend. Wow, that's chilly for Florida. It's supposed to be like in the mid-80s here in Virginia. Kapom says, if that's a VIC 20. Garth says it's a cat Vic. Yeah. All right. I get worried when I see lint pull off with the screws. There may have been other reasons why I wanted to toss the box, and it might be because I thought that this could have had some friends inside of it at one point. David Starbucks says, it's an Amiga 3000. All right, I don't know if it would help everyone to know how much I paid for this, because that might also tell you, when you see what it is, why I'm not going to return it, especially since I pulled it out of the box and it wasn't rattling. But all right, so the total for this computer, after the seller did a refund of shipping, because the shipping was cheaper than they had initially entered on the eBay system. After the partial refund, but buy it now price, shipping, and tax, the total order was $92.40. And if anyone wants to know what the price for the item itself was, the buy it now price was $55.55. What a potentially lucky number for this item. All right. Gutbomb says, okay, David says, Dave's Vintage Apple Tech says, lol. Gutbomb says 5150 is my guess, but I don't think I'm right. Dave says it's a Dell. David Starbucks says, so definitely not an Amiga 3000. It's an old crappy computer. I win. Nice try, David, but actually, one person actually did get the computer correct by naming the model number. So, unfortunately, as I am kind of delaying this, that probably tells you it's not the guess for a Dell, and it's not, unfortunately, not David's guess of an old crappy computer, although I will have to give him points because, well, I guess technically he might be right. Gutbomb says, is it a 128D? Oh no, I just saw the slots on the front. No, it's not a 128D. But Jason, you need not guess further. You need not guess further. Talk about all right, so I am attempting to get the lid off of this. Oh, okay. There, I am breathing a sigh of relief, because one of the items I was worried about is a non-item, or a non-worry. Jason, Gutbomb's asking, what color is the power supply? It is silver. It is a Magitronic. I believe it is a replacement power supply. But yes, Gutbomb did guess it. This is a 5150. As much as I would like a 5170, those cost very much more than 5555. Actually, these usually cost more than $55.55, but I happened to be browsing eBay at just the right time, and I bought it now without even thinking about it. In fact, the seller had 0 internal pictures. All I could see was the front, the sides, and the back. And there is some rust on the sides of the case. Thomas Armstrong says, I have a 5161 with my 5150. Well, I have a 5150. And it looks like we have the 64 to 256 kilobyte system board, which is maybe not necessarily the one I was looking for, but for 5555, I'm not going to complain. We do have some little tufts of dirt and debris in here that are somewhat worrying, especially because there's a piece of plastic in that one. But let's see what else we have in this. Capcom says, I sold the last 5150 I got for around $900 with the green phosphor monitor. All right, well, this one did not come with a monitor, so that was already, there was a discount there. Capcom says it was a very early first week of the assembly line model. All right, well, this one's probably not first week, especially since it's not a 16 to 64K system board. Thomas says I can test my video card now. Well, not exactly, because that'll require me to change switch settings. Oh, the switches are right there. Never mind. All right. I'm somewhat intimidated by these IBMs because they generally have shorted tantalums. So let's first, before I power this up, I am curious to see if I try to read the serial number on it, if someone can look up when it was made. But it looks like it's serial number 15285825150. Again, that was 15285825150, which I have a feeling is probably a fairly late one. But anyways, yes, David Starbucks says, time to check for shorts with Mr. Bleepy McBleepface. Yeah, exactly. Actually, I was going to take all the cards out so we could check them all out. Oh, and by the way, I did see the black expansion card for the hard card in the eBay photo, and I could sort of make out text, but it wasn't a slam dunk that there was a hard card in here. But I did see the AST logo on this card and figured that it was probably a 6-pack plus card. And winner, winner, chicken dinner, someone took the battery off. So we have a 6-pack plus card that did not spill its guts. Thomas Armstrong says the floppy controller and motherboard are prone to tantalums. All right, so there's the first card. All right, the second card, I believe, is going to be our MDA card because it's got a printer on it. Also, it does look like we have some spider webs in the computer. All right, let's see if I can get this card out. There we go. Oh, all right. We have a CPG 300 Rev 2 card, which... Oh, wait a minute. This is not an MDA card. This is an aftermarket CGA card. Ah, yes. I believe this is a CGA card. All right. I think someone... Thomas Armstrong says, and the 6-pack has the PAL removed. Wait a minute. No, I don't think the PAL is removed from it. Is it? Well, hopefully someone's dumped the contents of it. David Starbucks says no one needs more than 640K anyways. Mr. Tech Gadget says this is not a Mac IIsi. No, it's not. We are in Wheel of Regrets. Thomas Armstrong says empty sockets. Well, hopefully someone's dumped the contents of the PAL that goes in that socket, if there is a PAL that goes in that socket, and that's not actually the 1488 and 1489 chips for the serial port. Thomas Armstrong says, I've never found the dump. Great. So, instant regret of my purchase. Because I now have only like a partial pack plus card. Great. All right. All right. The next item we have is a hard card. And it looks like it is an MFM hard card with a mini scribe drive. So there is a chance this mini scribe might work. There's also a chance this mini scribe might not work. There's some rust on the card, but otherwise, I am like losing all of the... Ooh, this one's had memory problems before. Do you want to learn more? All right, and then finally we have the floppy controller. It's nothing special. David Starbucks says, I need all the serial ports, Thomas. All the serial ports. Not just the one serial port, all the serial ports. Because I need the mouse and second mouse. I need 2 mice. All right, and we got the IBM floppy controller, which we will go ahead and unplug because Tantalums. All right, so now that I've removed all of the cards, I will demonstrate why I said this computer's had memory problems before. Because it looks like there is a mismatch of memory down here. And in fact, it looks like this memory chip here is in sideways. Why do we need that controller, Thomas? Not for an initial power-up. It can give us hard drive errors all at once, too. Actually, no, wait a minute. I thought I had it beside me, but I don't. All right, don't know where it went. Oh, now I know where it went. Random RAM, yeah, random RAM. I don't know if that's because there was memory problems on this machine, or because someone upgraded it with random RAM. But we have mostly... Well, no, actually, I was about to say we have mostly Toshiba RAM, but... Hold on, I'm looking for my chip lifter. I was going to remove and reseat this chip because it's... Yeah, we'll get an error. But, alright, so the original RAM is IBM branded. The second row, we have, I believe that's Hitachi, Toshiba, MOSTEC, Toshiba. The next row, Toshiba, MOSTEC, Toshiba. And then we have MOSTEC, Toshiba, Texas Instruments, Toshiba. No MT RAM, but this RAM chip is kind of cattywampus. All right. Because I am not totally convinced that there isn't a shorted tantalum capacitor on this board. Because there probably is. And I have been known to take all the fun away from popping tantalum capacitors. Actually, I looked it up. MOSTech and MT, I think, are actually separate companies. Because MT is Micron Technologies. And I think, because I looked it up, I think MOSTech actually was a separate company. All right, so we are going to test for shorts. All right. And, okay, we look good there. We look good there. We look good there. We look good there. I'm going to check the comments to make sure that my multimeter is working. All right. We look good there. And, all right, we look good there. We do look good there. Okay, we look good there. Or actually, wait a minute. Maybe MOSTech and MOS are separate companies. Maybe that's the two that are separate that get confused. All right. Well, the multimeter says there's no shorts. The multimeter might be lying, but the multimeter says we have no shorts. All right. So I'm tempted to make this easier to test. I am tempted to go ahead and pull up the switch settings and change it to VGA card. So that I can use the Trident card. All right, so we have, that is going to be switches 5 and 6. 5 and 6 need to be 1 and 1. All right. And they are currently, there we go. They were on and off. Which is a CGA card, so that does confirm that is a CGA card. All right. I'm going to try to get this so that the most appears on screen. All right. All right. We are going to put the Trident card in the computer. We are going to flip the power switch. And you're probably thinking that, wait a minute, why are you just going to flip the switch with you sitting there? Don't you normally take cover under your safety shield? Well, yeah, I do. For dramatic effect. But the thing is, my smart outlet isn't on yet. Hi, Matt Crafter, welcome! What, David Starbucks asking, what programs would you like to run on such a machine? Oh, Thomas says, oh, and the Tandons always use tantalums. Yeah, alright. That's a good point. Alright, let's check the floppy drives for shorts. Oh, that's 29 ohms. That's not a direct short. That's 29 ohms. That's not a direct short. All right. There are no shorts that I can see. All right. Well, anyways, I'm going to go behind my blast shield here. And I will leave the camera on so that you can see any new craters that get formed. So, smoke test in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whoa! Well, well, who let the dogs out? Who let the smoke out? I guess I did. Well, we didn't have a short, but now we do. Hi, Stan. Welcome. Yeah, you missed the Magic Smoke release. We had a tantalum capacitor on the floppy drive went kapoof. And now I'm going to have to catch it on the replay. All right. So I guess now I do have to try to unplug the power from the floppy drives. All right. Well, I'm hoping that got caught on camera because, well, I was behind my blast shield because I kinda had a suspicion I was going to pop a tantalum on this one. And now my basement's going to smell like tantalum for... Oh, wow. I cannot... Gutbump says, oh, it got caught all right. It was the best tantalum blast I've seen on a stream. All right, everyone's confirming it did. Ian says that... Oh, I got caught up booking stuff for vacation next May. Yes, welcome, Steam. You joined, and oh. All right, I'm almost tempted to... All right, I am having trouble unplugging that floppy drive, so I am going to take the alternate route of... grabbing my ATX power supply. It has an adapter. It also has the added benefit of short circuit protection should something else decide to short on the board. Oh, all right. I should... Okay, before I plug that in, a retest is required of the main board. I don't trust 1981 tantalums, and the 1981 tantalum just proved why. Because I'm actually thinking there may... Oh. All right. No short. No short. No short. No short. All right, let's check commons. Common, common, common. All right, well. Okay. There are no shorts on the main board. However, I am going to take precautions again. Although with an ATX power supply for the Tantalum shorts, it probably will just not power on. Although that is a probably and not a definitely. It's also possible that it might power up and then the tantalum fails. And now I could use some Trident gum to get the taste of tantalum smell out of my mouth. David Starbucks says no shorts yet. Yeah. Could we have a repeat performance? I don't know. All right, video card is in, power supply is in, blacks are in the middle. That is the correct wire. If you put the red wires in the middle, you will have a sad day. Smoke absorber is running in case we have more magic smoke. I'm hitting the record button on the camcorder. All right, going behind my blast shield and powering up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, wait a minute, we powered up. Hey, hey. All right, there we go. We have a 4098-201, a 301, a 131, and a 601, and IBM Personal Computer Basic. All right, it starts to work. Oh, I bet we had a memory error because I pulled the 6-pack plus card out. Yes, that's probably it. Yeah, we had a 131's a, I don't know what a 131 is. All right, let's try this. Let's put the 6-pack plus card in. All right, and all right, so we have the 6-pack plus card in, Trident card in, capture. All right, one more power up, and then we'll get to the 2SI. Going behind my blast shield one last time, because old Tantalums, this thing's getting recapped. Smoke test in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I was pretty sure that one was safer, but still. There we go. You saw the Trident banner. Oh, Gotbomb says 131 is cassette related. Thomas says, oh, could be minus 5 volt problem on cassette port loop. Capcom says probably a bad relay on the board. Oh, well, this ATX power supply does not have negative 5 volts, and I do not have a negative 5 volt adapter. It's bad negative 5 volts because there is no negative 5 volts. All right, 601's floppy drives. I don't know what 301 is. There we go. I might. I don't know where my power adapter is for adding negative 5 volts. Oh, keyboard and floppy. Oh, yeah, I don't have a keyboard plugged in. All right. All right, there we go. That's what it is. Floppy, keyboard, and no negative 5 volts. So, yeah. All right, that makes sense. Okay. So that means my less than $100 IBM 5155 is like working enough that it's definitely not getting returned. Now, as for the rest of it, because this is not a PC related live stream, I'm going to have to say that my Trident card, not a regret, it works. Thomas Armstrong says, do not try the floppy without tantalum love. Yes. Yes, I will have to fix the tantalum cap on the floppy drive. So anyways, all right, the 5155 powers up, blows tantalums, and then at least at the moment, oh, look at that. Oh no, the tags fell off my Trident card. Oh no. Oh. Well, now we can see what the tag below the first one was. That's interesting. There are other dates. I bet this card was taken to... I bet someone bought this card at a computer show. Because this was on the bottom. It's a tag that says 327. And then someone had her at 328.90. Probably marking it in case they sold it at the computer show. Then they wouldn't have to mark it again. It probably didn't sell at that computer show. So it looks like they had a 50513 and a 51890. So maybe that was the second show they tried to sell it at. And then maybe it sold at this one that was in July. Maybe June and July. I don't know. Capcom is... My daughter and I are ordering a lot of gold rhinestones tomorrow for a certain IIsi project. Ah, cool. There is not an 8087 on this board. There is an AMD 8088. And I'll just have to probably dig up an 8087 for it. All right, well, let me change the switch settings back the way they were. Because I'm going to go ahead and put these cards back in for safekeeping. All right, so there's our floppy controller. And here's our CGA card. Again, kind of a shame it's not the IBM one, but it's a clone. Someone enjoyed their system enough to buy a CGA card for it. I'll have to put the plastic card guides back in the case. They kind of fell off when I pulled these cards out. And we've got the hard card that will be the major plot point for the inevitable video on this system, where we will try to power this up and see what's on it. Thomas Armstrong says, when the post sorts its stuff out, I can send you an expansion card set for a 5161. Nice. All right. And now that my basement has been freshened with the fragrance de Tantalum, I do not recommend that fragrance. It will, I mean, unless you have, like, I mean, maybe if you have in-laws coming over and you kind of don't want them to stay long, I mean, Tantalum Cap might be the fragrance for your house then. But otherwise, no. Tantalum is not the fragrance for your house. Also, if you have in-laws coming over and you don't want them to stay long, check out their new fresher scent called Leaky Capacitor. It's guaranteed to make them think that your fish is old. Sure to give new meaning to that. I'm trying to think of the it's one of Benjamin Franklin's quotes. Like there's something in common with fish and guests. They get old after several days or something like that. So yeah, the fragrance du capaciteur liquide, guaranteed to not smell nice. All right, but yeah, 5150. Okay, so it's got a replacement power supply. It is a 64 to 256K board. I was kind of hoping for a 16 to 64, but David Starbucks says, "How do fishy?" Yeah, I was trying to do my best French impression. Yeah, the plastic guides at the back are, oh yeah, they might be broken. That might be why they came out so easily. They may actually be, oh, yeah, they might be broken. I guess I'll have to probably see if there's a 3D print model. Which I guess if I'm not transporting this, it's probably okay. But yeah, there we go. It's 5150 for 55.55 plus shipping. Seller didn't take any internal photos. I took a gamble. And it looks like I summed up the cards that were in it almost correctly. I thought I was pretty sure it had a 6-pack plus because of the AST bracket. Fortunately, it was the one that has a coin cell battery on it. Thomas Armstrong says 5150 work great on a compact flash card with ROM. Yeah, that's probably the way I'll do it. Or possibly the way I'll do it. I have a CGA card. I thought it was going to be an MDA, but it's a CGA card. I do have an MDA card I could put in here, so that may be a downgrade I do for... might be a downgrade I do to put my MDA card in something more appropriate. David Starbucks says, I would have talked them down to 5150 on principle. Oh, I think eBay was telling me that someone already had it in their cart, so I took that peer pressure and ran with it. Otherwise, I would have probably offered them 51.55 and hoped they accepted it out of realizing what I was doing there. Thomas Armstrong says the Reefa caps are better. Yeah. But yeah, hard card, I guessed correctly. And then the floppy controller, so yeah, Gutbomb says GoTech works great on these, by the way. Well, I'm not going to give up on the floppy drives just yet. I may give them a shot at redemption. After a recapping, of course. I will not let these green caps on these tantalum caps fool me from realizing that they're just as powerful as this one that decided to go pop right here. So there we go. It's a 5150. David Starbucks says peer pressure often leads to eBay regrets. Hey, I have resisted the urge to buy a monitor that I thought was an EGA monitor, and it might have paid off in one case because I think I figured out at least one of them is probably not actually an EGA monitor. And I also have resisted the urge on a Mac 128K again because I'm kind of worried that it's not actually a Mac 128K inside. So yeah, there are two potential regrets. As much as I would like a Mac 128K, but if I get one, I want a Mac 128K. And as much as I would like an EGA monitor, but again, I want to make sure it's an EGA monitor. Not gamble on it being EGA based on the fact that the cable has all 9 pins on it. Oh, Gutbomb says, oh, I mean for testing the machine and stuff. Yeah, okay. That is true. Thomas Armstrong says, yeah, I know, yep, I know that Console 5 has belts. In fact, I probably already have some belts for them because I think I bought belts for some Apple drives that have yet to actually need new belts. All right. So the case is going to need a bit of rust remediation. And someone has engraved some text on the top of this case. I'm putting the case screws in the case lid so I don't lose them. All right, so we will get to the 2SI momentarily, but there's the last of the text. So we have 85 to 89 VCCW. I don't know what that stands for. And 13211. So this was from Florida. Oh, and the front case badge has fallen off, so I'll have to get a replacement for that. Thomas Armstrong says the IBM paint code is available for the 5150. Well, I don't know that I necessarily have to repaint it just yet, but if I do, then I'll look up the paint code. Or I'll just paint it close enough, depending on how much the actual IBM paint code will cost to get. Close enough may have to. Because I'm not the type that spends $55.55 for the computer and then several $100s for a can of custom paint. And no, I'm not going to paint it flat black. I'm going to paint it something close. It's a 5150 after all. Hey! I'm hoping this looks like a little more closer to what you were expecting when you first joined the stream. We have a IIsi logic board that I put deoxit on some chips at the end of the last stream. I am somewhat curious if that deoxit has managed to do anything. So let's try to power it up a little bit. And let's see if we get anything more than a Technicolor blank screen. All right, we should already be on the correct input. Oh, and I do already have power on the power supply, so we should just be able to hit the button. And, all right, so we have a solid, a minty green screen tonight. That is just so wonderful. Minty green. New color unlocked, minty green. All right, it's not supposed to do that, according to one famous house inspector TikToker / Instagrammer. Yes, it's not supposed to do that. No, I don't think it's RAM. I do not believe it's RAM. I mean, I could be wrong. It could be RAM, but I don't think it's RAM. I think it's a broken trace somewhere. And the first thing we're going to do is remove these 4 chips. Because these are the transceivers between the RAM and various other things. And oh, there is RAM on the board, yes. Those eight chips right there, 4 megabytes of onboard RAM. So this board should be able to boot without installing any sims. I mean, some of the later operating systems that can run, that's a bit not quite enough to, like, fully run it, but it's enough that we should be able to get a Happy Mac and a flashing question mark, and actually if I put in a boot disk, we should actually be able to boot to the Finder. I think even with System 753, I think we would be able to boot, albeit without any extensions loaded with 753. That might be a bit much for 4 megabytes. Or I think this can run 753. All right, well, there's one chip. One chip. Where did my tweezers go? Uh-oh. Yes, I know. Ideally, I would have lifted that chip off by now, but, well, my tweezers disappeared. Alright, so I may have to... Alright. Alright, there's chip 2. I'm setting these down. Yeah, there's some sockets on the other side of the board. So I can add up to... I think the max is like... I think according to the Apple documentation, it's 7... Oh, no, wait a minute. That's not 4 megabytes of RAM. That's 1 megabyte of RAM. Excuse me. Oh. I think I now know why we were having problems, and I will reveal the reason in a moment. Also probably going to mean I'm going to have to steal some chips off the other board, because I never did order more of these chips after ordering the wrong type first time around. All right, there we go. All right, now let's clean that up. I guess I could probably zoomed in more. All right. Yes, I could have zoomed in more. All right. Some nights, cinematography is just not my strong suit. Except for the fact, apparently, we got the tantalum capacitor going. I'll have to look at that. Anyways, I think I might have an idea what the problem might have been. I'm going to leave that blob right there for a moment, because I'm going to try something on it. Alright, looks like we still have pads there. And, alright, looks like we have pads there. Oh, my big ball of basically gallium rolled away. Alright. I noticed something that if you wait for them to solidify, then if they're not touching any metal and they're on solder mask, you can just lift your little blob of low melt solder right off the board. And you don't have to waste expensive wick to get it off. Alright, so let's first take a look at the um, pads here. Let me pour out some isopropyl alcohol that I will inevitably spill at some point. I will just pour out a little bit. Yep, yep. And for anyone that missed the tantalum, I did check for shorts, but the tantalums apparently, one of the tantalums had other ideas. All right. All right. So now that I've cleaned the flux off the board, let's inspect with the microscope. All right, so I think this is the first one. Do ooh, that first pad there looks kind of rough. Let's oh, that might actually be a missing pad. All right. Uh-oh. Well, that is even worse. All right. So it does appear as if I have. All right. Two missing pads. Oh, and one. Oh, there's the. Yes, the 2SI is crummy. Back. All right. So we have two missing pads, one of which the via is underneath the chip. That is not going to be fun to repair. That might actually exceed my repair abilities. No, because this third pad is also. This third pad is... All right, let's see. Okay, so we are missing two pads. And we have at least one more that is loose. One of the missing pads, the V, is underneath the chip. And I'm having trouble reading the schematics to know where it should be going. So, what happened to this poor thing? Electrolyte. And crummy design. And crummy cost cutting. And just plain crumminess. And then I dared remove the chips. That pad there looks pretty bad, but actually I think I'm just going to have to try to solder to it. Alright, and then this last bunch here... Yeah, basically, David. That's basically what it was. Okay, so this board might be... Of course, the other board's got its challenges, too. Thomas Armstrong, yeah. Oh, old chat. Alright, let's see here. Now, here's the other problem. So I'm going to have to pull chips off another board. Alright, so here's the chips I removed. If I can... find them. Alright, these are not in any particular order. Actually, let's do this. Hold please while I move these on top of the shop towel so that at least we can see them. Alright, they're not in any particular order. So here's the first one. That leg there doesn't look that great. Alright, here's number 2. Looks like we have all the legs. Here's number 3. We've lost a leg on that chip. And number 4. Oh, that's just low melt solder. I haven't removed it yet. Because I'm actually tempted to... Hmm. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I've got two boards that are actually pretty crummy. Ooh, that looks pretty nasty right there. This board is missing pads, and I know that those pads are... Alright. Alright, let me see if I can figure out where those pads go to. So that is UE5, pins 19 and 20. One of those, I believe, is going to be power or ground. UE5. Alright, 20 is... Oh, 20 is... Oh, 20 is VCC. Oh, that's an important pin. Alright, I mean, I could... Well, granted, its V is actually not underneath the chip, so... I could put a bodge wire to the VIA to fix that, or I could place a bodge wire to the next chip over to pin 20 and fix it. So that one's fixable. Pin 19. Oh, that's lucky. Pin 19 is actually the same between UE8 and UF8. So I can run the bodge wire between the two pin 19s. Alright, so that's fortuitous. Pin 18 is data bit 0. So if I lose that pad, then I gotta bodge that to pin 3 on the Sims. Alright, let's see if that pad is actually connected to pin 3 of the Sim. Carefully, because that pin is very loose. Alright, so there's that, and pin 3 of the Sim. Alright, we do have a connection. To the Sim and J13. Alright. So actually, maybe this is not as bad as I was fearing, because I can get pins 19 and 20 from something else. But pin 20, though, is going to be that via right there. So it's just pin 19 that'll be the more difficult. But I just run a bodge wire. Granted, that via right there. All right. Okay, so I think I got a repair plan. I'm hoping that maybe there was. Well, I guess if that one pin was broken on the. Okay, I guess one broken pin on an ALS 245, that might have prevented a memory test from running, because. Alright, so okay, let's try something, though. Let's see how many of these chips I actually need to replace. Because actually, if they're not all bad, then I might like to reuse some of them. Just to reduce the chances that I'm going to mess up the other board too bad, in case I have to revert to it for some reason. Let's see if I can't clean this low melt solder off of these chips, including the one that's missing a pin, because we'll run the test on it and see if there were any other faults with it, or if it's just the one missing pin. All right, so we know that one's going to fail a test because it's missing a pin. All right. Okay. They're cleaning up fairly nicely. I mean, I could definitely see if one of these had a bad pin that it might gum up the entire boot process. These are the um I think these chips are responsible for switching the memory between the RAM-based video chip and the processor. So I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be able to access RAM if there was a broken pin. Neither would the RAM-based video. I oh, hold on. This one just may be mangled. I thought there was a piece of solder stuck to that. Oh, it must have come off. All right. All right. A little bit of contact cleaner. A little bit of paper towel. Okay. This one's kind of, the legs are kind of bent up, but all right. I think that one will go in the tester. This one. Yeah, I think that one will go in the tester. Yep. Okay, I think they'll all go in the tester. No, I have not ordered more from Mauser. I'm going to have to steal them from the other board. But I think we tested the ones on the other board last time, or previously, and I think they were okay. All right. Yeah, I can't. If I have to order more of these, I'll have to order them next week. All right, 74245, 8x buffer. Or actually, I probably won't order more of these until after I get back from the beach, actually. Well, actually, I might order Mauser order I might place next week. Because if I order stuff from Mauser, then it should come in before I go to the beach. eBay stuff, though, I pretty much probably won't buy anything else on eBay until after I get back from the beach. Because the way the USPS has been delivering these days, if I bought something on eBay now, even if it said it was going to be in before I am at the beach, yeah, remember from last year that was wrong. All right, so let's see here. Let's go ahead and test this. Oh, this chip failed. Oh, it might have failed because I had it lined up badly. No, this chip is, oh, this chip is fine. Actually, maybe this chip is not fine. Okay, I'm going to take it that this chip is marginal. That chip I am not going to reuse. All right. chip number 2. May or may not actually be chip number 2. Oh, that was annoying. Right? I think this chip might be... I do have the dot in the right spot. Yeah, it looks like that chip's bad. All right, chip number 3. Oh, okay, with that, I might have 2 pins that are too close together. Or I'll get clumsy and I bent the 2 pins closer together again. Oh, no, wait a minute. I just lost a pin. All right. And then oh, there. So, yeah, I just lost pin 1 on this chip. I know it's hard to see, but all right. Well, that chip's bad. Uh, Pin 1 that's going to be a test stopper. And I got to figure out where the leg went. All right. And this is the one that's missing a leg. And the only reason I'm going to put it in is because I'm curious to see if... All right, yep. The way this tests, I can't. Okay, so I think we have 4 bad chips. And Sadmax says, well, since pin 1 just gave up. So we have 2 that are missing legs now. And 1 that is intermittent and 1 that is just bad. Probably because the electrolyte got into it. So that's 4 bad chips. Oh, hey, Alexander, welcome. And hey, Topaz, welcome. Well, we are, the Mac hacking is, going well if by hacking you mean making legs fall off of chips and pins off of boards. So, all four of these chips were bad. And some of the pads have left the board. So, this is going to be a fun resolder, but I have to. All right, let me see if I can find the. Unfortunately, I have to steal the chips off of the other IIsi board because I ordered the wrong package type and haven't placed another order with Mouser since I discovered that error. Yeah, cursed electrolyte, destroyer of boards. Yes. All right, so this is the board that has all the missing pads for capacitors. It's the one that thought I would be more successful in repairing, but I couldn't get it to power up, and maybe that's because there's too many capacitors missing, but at the moment, 2 pads is better than 20 pads. So I guess we're just going to have to take these chips off. Hopefully they will come off the board easily because I had them off previously. I guess I should low melt solder them off. All right. So hopefully I can get these off the board without breaking any pins. All right. Now I'm going to get I got my tweezers. So if I do loosen a chip, I can try to get it off the board quickly. Right, there we go. Off the board. I am going to keep in mind this SCSI controller looks a lot better because we may need that. Alright, so let's clean these chips up. Hopefully I will find that I got them off the board cleanly. Don't worry, that is just low melt solder that will come right off the chips, hopefully, ideally. Because these are hopefully good chips, I'll add some flux to kind of help. Yes. So what I just did, for those of you that think I just almost committed a violation of logic, physics, or whatnot. So what I used is a product called Fast Chip. Quick Chip also makes a competing product. So it's a surface mount device removal alloy. And what this is it's basically it's a solder that has a really low melting point. I think it may be gallium based or something like that. But anyways, so it has a really low melting point. And what you do is you apply it generously onto the surface mount chip you want to remove. It mixes with the solder that's already on the chip and lowers that solder's melting point. It's also good at holding the heat a little bit because you have enough of a thermal mass of it that it holds the heat. So that then the chip will lift off the board and you actually have a couple seconds to get it off before it would resolder the pads. So basically, without having to use a heat gun or wick, I just used that low melt solder and basically whisk the chips off. And then all I got to do is remove that low melt solder. And then when I put them on the other board, I just solder them on like normal. It's really cool. And I think that stuff's like $15 for the 4.5 foot, which will actually let you remove a lot of chips. Oh, thank you, Topaz. Bismuth, that's the one I was thinking of, not gallium. Gallium, it would be liquid at room temperature. Yeah. For Fast Chip, yeah, it's, yeah, bismuth, was that bismuth, indium, lead, and tin? Yeah, and it's got a really low melting point. Oh, hey, Mike, welcome. So yeah, it's bismuth, not gallium. If it was gallium, then it would be wrecking havoc with all our GPUs as it escaped the containment and got under our chips. I realize that modern gaming laptops need better cooling than the older ones, but I don't know who thought putting liquid metal on a laptop's GPU, which that laptop is getting transported everywhere and turned every which direction. I don't know who thought that was a good idea unless their ulterior motive was to sell more laptops as the GPUs short out from getting liquid metal under them, because it's liquid metal, because it's gallium. And their laptops getting toted everywhere. Yes, I do watch some of the modern laptop repair people. Ian says, I think you called it. So why not just use the wick to remove the chips? Since I want to reuse the chip, I wanted to make sure I got it off with the least risk to the legs of the chip. I thought you were going to say laptop conspiracy theories. No. No. Yeah, I could have used wick, and I would have probably have been able to remove them. And since that's probably a parts board, I'm not exactly concerned with saving it. But the low melt solder gets them off way easier. Now, what's not as easy is at 8 till 11 at night, paying attention to soldering 4 of these chips on. Alright, so let's make sure. Alright, so last time I did this, I put one of these chips on backwards, and luckily that did not cause any lasting damage, but this time I am going to be careful to make sure that the dot is on the correct side of the chip. And I'm going to do these one at a time, and I'm going to line it up. These are big enough that I can line it up with the overhead camera. And I will tack a leg corner. And we'll tack there. Alright, that may be bridging, but okay, it looks like I did pretty much get that lined up the way I wanted to. So let's go in and we'll because I'm kind of concerned about the pads, I'm not going to drag solder across them because I don't want to put any more strain on them than I have to. So I will instead try this. I need, okay, this one, because of that jumper, I need to turn the board. All right. So there we go. I still have a little solder blob there. And on that pin. I think that chip's on. Let me double check here. There's no shorts. Actually, no, All right, that looks good. Okay, so first one's on. I'm going to leave the board turned this way. Let me add flux. So these first three should be easy. It's going to be this one that I'm going to have to add some bodge wires. Whoops. All right, so there's my alignment dot. All four of these are, pin 1 is in the same location. All right. For anyone wondering what these chips do, they are the memory buffer chips. They I think they control whether the processor or the video chip has access to system RAM. I think. Not the greatest schematic available for these, but I think that's basically what they're doing. The 2CI has a similar arrangement, which is why I think that's what they're doing, even though the schematic just isn't the clearest. They basically let the video chip share system RAM and keep the CPU from interfering. All right, so we got 2 on. Alignment dots are in the correct place. Let's get the third one, and then we'll deal with number 4. So I'm fairly sure these chips all work because I was able to test them in the chip tester, but I also did have the other board working at one point, although I think it finally decided to not cooperate. It's probably capacitance related as to why it won't power up anymore. Looks good. Hopefully, with these chips installed, we get something other than a Technicolor solid Technicolor colored screen. Even if Mint was quite attractive tonight, Mint was not the color we were going for. We were going for gray, a rather drab color, unless it's a classic Macintosh and you're wanting it to boot. then gray is actually an excellent color for it to be. All right, so I'm fairly sure that the reason why this chip was so bad is because these two capacitors here would have leaked. And it quite possibly could have had something to do with however the system was sitting in storage. So this chip, I realized that all right. I gotta, okay, I'll add flux. All right, now this is the side that I'm a bit worried about. All right, let me see if I can address that solder blob there first before I get the pad that I'm afraid of. There we go. Oh, I think I did get the pad I was afraid of. All right. There we go. Hey, Francois, welcome. Oh, dear, 5 a.m. All right, so let's see here. So we got 2 pins to... Oh, right. I think I did get that one pad soldered. All right, hold please. I'm going to check the continuity between that pin and the pin on the SIM socket. Yes, we still have continuity. All right, so I just have two little bodges to make. And the first one, I'm going to see if I can get... So the first one is to right there. And that one I might be able to bridge with a solder blob. Maybe. If not, I'll just have to get a little piece of wire. All right. Did I manage to bridge that? No. I think I tinned it, but I did not bridge it. All right. So let's see here. Oh, I gotta Oh, here we go. I know how to fix this. So for this one, I'm going to take a little piece of the component leg. Or try to. So that I don't like that. All right, let's try this. Let's. Oh, that's not what I'm looking for. Hold place while I look for the. Here we go. Kynar wire. All right, so I'm going to run two little bodge wires. Just this. Oh, 30 gauge. All right. All right. So I've got a little piece of Kynar wire. And the first one I'm going to do is this one here. I'm going to solder this to pin 19 of this chip. Hopefully. Would like just a little bit more exposed wire there. All right, let me tin this wire. Oh, that's not working. All right. So pin 19 of the chip beside it is tied to the same signal. I'm going to try to solder this. Like so. And then I'm going to I can make this look prettier later. I can strip the wire. I think I might need a new pair of wire strippers. Or I just made this repair harder for myself. One. All right. Oh. Okay. Oh no. do something stupid like that. Alright, well. Alright, I just ripped the pad. I lost the grip with my wire strippers. Alright. I'm fairly sure this via here is not actually where that trace goes. Alright, let me look at the schematic. That pin 19 comes from pin 128 of... Okay. Okay, I think it's that pin right there, the one on the corner. Can't get any easier to check. Alright, so... Oh, okay. Oh, actually, I did not rip the... I didn't actually rip the pad. I think I ripped the trace to the via that goes to the other chip, because this pin is still connected to the ASIC. So I didn't rip the pad. How's the Apple City doing tonight? It is being every bit as crummy as I knew it would be. Translation. I probably would not be... Normally, I would have probably given up with this board and tried to find one in better shape. But A, I don't think that's possible with the IIsi, and B, got bomb asked me really nicely. Trying to get this, like, right there. Okay? Okay, most importantly, is that still attached to the ASIC? Pin there, last one on the chip. Yes, it is still attached. I never said it was your fault. I just said you asked really nicely. I would have eventually gotten back to the 2SI. You just asked nicely for me to prioritize it higher. Hi, Lazy Bite Boy, welcome. I am. Oh, placing a bodge wire and trying not to make this bridge city. Right, let me hold this wire down. Let's move the. Well, let's try that again. All right, maybe what I need to do is maybe add a little bit of solder to this leg here. Maybe I need to do it to both these legs. All right, so now, hopefully, well, all right, try that again. Maybe I need to shorten the. Oh, yeah. Oh, please, while I shorten the. Length of the stripped portion of the wire to match a more reasonable length. Oh, and I bumped the camera. Oh, that's quite where I wanted to solder it. All right. That is probably the flimsiest connection. But I got one. All right. Let's get rid of that plastic blob there. All right. So now I got to get the power connection here. And for that, I need to bridge. All right, for this, I'm going to try to use a little short piece of a component leg, and actually, that one's too big around. I just want just a little piece. That might actually be just about the right length. All right. Did I get it? Did I get it? Yes. All right. I have bodged it. I have bodged it. Yeah, let's hope we don't have a rapid, unscheduled disassembly here. All right, let's... I mean, we already had one rapid, unscheduled disassembly. And I heard it was spectacular, and I was cowering behind my safety blast shield, so I haven't seen it yet. I'll have to go back and watch the replay. All right. Here we go. All right. Smoke test in 3, 2, 1. Aw, man, we still have a teal screen. All right, so I'm looking. Okay, so all the buffer chips have power. That's good. Hmm. All right. So let's see here. Stian says at least it's a pleasant shade of teal. Yeah. It's not mint, though. Will there be a tantalum test? No. It was one thing on this board that I saw, like, know when I plugged in the thermal camera, which there was one thing I didn't see light up, and that was the SCSI chip. And I do know the SCSI chip looks kind of SCSI. So I'm going to just kind of remove the SCSI chip from the board. The SCSI chip could be causing a bus conflict if there's something wrong with it. If there was a bus conflict, then maybe that could cause a teal screen. I mean, anyways, the pins on the SCSI chip are kind of corroded, so I'm gonna have to. I was gonna have to remove this chip anyways at some point. So I might as well just go ahead and do it now. I mean, there are two capacitors that would have been leaking beside this chip. If this doesn't solve it, then I'm going to possibly remove the RAM DAC. Oh, it's not a Brooktree RAM DAC. Okay, that may not. Well, well, normally this would have removed by now, but All right, I guess I'm going to have to add some hot air carefully. All right, so don't turn this up to about 200 degrees. Just don't want to blow the low melt solder everywhere. I mean, this is a guess. I'm just going by the chip didn't seem to be getting power, and I know last time we looked at the board, there was corrosion. The legs were corroded, so I was going to need to inspect this chip anyways. So I'm going ahead and deciding to do it now. Mikey, oh hi Mikey. Mikey In-IIsigh-nity says I'm trying to make some DOS disks but failing to find any 3.5-inch double density floppies which are blank. Hi Jesse, welcome. Jesse's I'll be at VCF Midwest. Catch the tail end of this while I wind down. It is if I can get this garbage Comcast to work with me. I'm not the only one that has problems with Comcast SC. Okay, this SCSI chip just does not want to come off the board. Interesting. Oh. Oh, yeah. Okay, I definitely have... Okay, I had the airspeed turned down. Maybe that's why it was... Alright, this should be coming off like gangbusters. Alright. That has got to be enough heat. Alright, let's see. It tells me that either I didn't get enough. Oh, there we go. There we go. I think I got it. Ooh, yeah. I think there was some corrosion underneath there. I got that off. So let me get the. Kind of get. Kind of interesting. I figured out that there is a point at which this stuff will be still warm enough to remove from the board, but just cool enough that it'll come off as one piece. So I might take that just a little bit more to cool down to that. I don't really want to use one blob. Oh, that's not quite what I meant. Like right there. So now that I got most of that off, now it won't take as much wick to clean it up. Hmm. There are a couple of these pins that are kind of looking a little grungy, so those are some standard solder. All right, I think. All right, I think that cleaned up. I don't think there's any missing pads there. Yeah, Alexander says the fact that it comes in a tube and not a roll makes me wonder how judiciously you need to use it. Well, I pretty much used an entire piece plus a little bit to get an 84 pin chip off the board, which is more than I thought I would have to, but I think that was an 84 pin chip. Oh, might have been a 66 pin chip. My bad. Good night, David. All right, so that cleaned up fairly well. All right, I'm not sure the SCSI chip is bad, so I'm not going to clean it up just yet, though. All right, so now that I got the SCSI chip off, what damaged this board? Lazy Pipe Boy's asking. Electrolyte. Capacitor electrolyte. Alright. 3, 2, 1. Alright, we got power. Oh. That is not the gray screen we're looking for. Well, as I said, it is a different color. As I said, though, I was going to have to remove that chip to inspect under it because the legs were corroded. But that was not the chip we're looking for. All right, so I'm looking at this with my thermal camera. So you can see the outline of where the SCSI chip was. So there's the RAM-based video chip. It's running at about 48 degrees Celsius. The RAM DAC is about 50 degrees Celsius. Audio chip is like not registering. The whatever, this UCC2 chip's not registering, and neither is the eGrit. Processor is 46 degrees Celsius. All right. I guess maybe there is one thing I can try. All right, let me power this down. Let's Oh, wait a minute. I just flipped something off of one of the chips. Let me All right. Some contact cleaner. Let that run off the board. I don't know what that was that I flipped off of one of the chips. Oh, okay, we got a teal screen. All right, I'm gonna go grab my ROM sim. And I'm going to put the ROM sim in and see what it does. So, let me go grab that. It's over with my SE30. Fortunately, the IIsi can take a ROM sim. So I'm going to put the ROM sim in the ROM sim socket. All right, to use a ROM sim, I need a jumper. Alright, usually there's a jumper floating around my workbench, but I guess I'll have to actually find the bag of jumpers. Alright, seeing that I can't find a jumper, I will look harder. I know I have to have a jumper floating around my workbench. There we go. I knew if I... Ah, yes. There we go. Okay. Smoke test. See here. Oh, we got a green screen, so that means we still have a... Okay, so we have a green screen. Alright, just to make sure I didn't, like... Alright, I will remove the jumper. Try with the ROM sim. And we got a blue screen. Nope, light blue screen. So... Alright, I don't think we have a ROM issue. So... I think we probably still have probably a trace break somewhere. Or a via or something. So... Yeah, I'm out of ideas for tonight. I don't have time to try to do anything else. So, I think this is where I'm going to stop for the night. Very non-satisfying conclusion, but yeah, I'd have to pull my oscilloscope out, and that would require me to make room for it. And fish the item out of it that I dropped in it. Hazards of having it open for an upgrade. Probably, probably point by point at this point. Although, I would probably start with the data lines. And I would probably start with the side of the transceiver that goes to the RAM-based video chip. But John says, try hitting it. Well, actually, I did hit this board a couple weeks ago by accident. I think this is the board I accidentally hit. It was already not working. I didn't see any damage on the board after it got hit. Um, I'm glad no one's asked me what it got hit with, because it's rather embarrassing. But it is entirely possible that I worsened any potential problems with the board, because it could now. I mean, I don't see any damage, but it could have internal damage. Oh no, Steven's asking, what did it get hit with? Alexander says, well, darn it, now you said that I must know. Well, so I had a PC precariously perched atop another PC that was in front of the IIsi logic board sitting in its case, and well, I knocked the desktop PC that was perched onto the tower PC. I knocked it off into the IIsi, and the PC case hit the board like this. Histian says, sorry, it had to. To complicate matters, though, there was something sitting on top of the PC case that fell, which then also, yeah. I just about nearly also took out a CRT in the process. No, I didn't try to reenact the Mac versus PC commercials, but yeah, it was a mousetrap style chain of events because I was trying to get ready for a swap meet and was not thinking about how stable or unstable something was, and well, yeah, I had an entire desktop PC fall onto this board while it was kind of setting like this in the case, so it very well could have flexed the board, and there could be internal damage on this board. So in reality, maybe the best course of action, considering now I don't know. Why did I try to repair this board tonight? You're probably asking, knowing that I had something impact this board. Well, this board was going to require trace repairs too. And it won't power up. Capcom says, I doubt it did any damage. Jack says, oh, hi, Jack. Jack says, yay, I made it in time to say hi. Yeah, this board won't power up at all, although it's missing most of its capacitors. But it was powering up, and now it won't. That's why I stopped trying to repair it. This board will power up, but we're getting signs that it's not initializing RAM. And I'm kind of about of the opinion that maybe I need to find a third IIsi board that has capacitor damage only, because I'm... It's either that or I start removing... Either that or the next step is I swap the RAM DAC and the RAM DAC and the RAM-based video chip. I don't have room on my bench for the scope. I mean, I could probably make room for it. Ian says, I wouldn't recommend more part swapping without scoping. Well, alright, maybe this is what I'm getting at. I don't know that I want to look at this board again on Tuesday. I've already looked at it 2 nights in a row. I know I told Capcom I'd try to get the board working, but Yeah, I don't have my scope set up at all right now. All right, Gutbum says I'll delay the project until you're ready. Okay. All right, that's good. Okay, so yeah, I don't want to work on the 2SI 3 or 4 or 5 streams in a row. I got other things that are shorter putts to getting them back together. Gutbum says Tom can wait for his gold 2SI. Yeah. Anyways, what are the potential projects for the next stream? Next time, maybe Tandy. It is Sep Tandy. I would like to get a Tandy stream in. I have 3 Tandy 1400s. None of them work. And in order to get at least one of them to work, I need to recap a power supply, and I don't have a cap list. So the Tandy 1400 may be one candidate. And Alexander says that's fair. I'm down for whatever you bring to the stream. You do you. I'll happily partake. Excellent. Yeah. Oh, Capcom says I'm making a 2SI crummy video, and Justin's going to be in it with this board when it works. Yes. So the Tandy 1400 is one candidate. My Tandy TRS-80 Model 4P is another, because I think its analog board needs recapped, and I need to make a cap list for it. So it is possible the next stream might be a let's determine what caps I need stream. But I might also not do a Tandy stream so that I could maybe get a few things put back together. I don't know. I'm looking at everything that I need put back together that is sitting in the middle of the floor in a walking path. And yet the Tandys are calling my name. So maybe we're going to be looking at Tandys on Monday. Stan's asking, any Commodore things? Stan says it'd be fun to have a poll. All right. So, okay, that gives me an idea. So, tell you all what. I will walk around my basement tomorrow evening, and I will look at what I have that I will look at some things that are quick, that'll be like, if I had a stream for this, I could probably get the thing back together. But I will also throw the Tandys in the poll. And then I'll put the poll out. I'll put it on, I think I could do it on my YouTube community page. Actually, I think if I put it on my YouTube community page, then I think anyone can vote on it. I'll see. Anyways, I think this time I may only make one poll, and then on other socials, I'll tell everyone to go to the poll and vote. Anyways, so tomorrow evening, I'll look around the basement. I'll find a couple projects that I'd like to get done. I'll throw the Tandys in for good measure, and then folks can vote over the weekend, and then whatever wins by Monday morning, I'll throw together a well, actually, I'll just use a generic thumbnail. So whatever wins the poll, oh, that could be fun. The poll can run up to about an hour before the live stream, because at that point I'll need to gather stuff. Anyways, tomorrow evening I'll create a poll. It'll run until an hour before the live stream on Monday, so that I can collect stuff to have it ready, and you all can vote on what you want to see on Monday. The Tandys will be one of the options. Jack says, don't put options in there that you don't want us to choose, of course. So I will see if I have something Commodore to put in there. I might. And I know I've got Tandy. And I think I've got something Macintosh that's not IIsi, because the IIsi is not going to be on the list. And then I think I may have something PC. So that'd be like 4 solid choices. I'll look tomorrow evening to see what those 4 are. Put the poll out, let you all vote. And then Monday, that's what we'll look at. That way, it's kind of viewer's choice. And then hopefully with that, yeah, I'm getting tired. I'll know what I want to work on Thursday. Because who knows, maybe I may say the second place thing may be Thursday's live stream. That way, it's viewer's choice. And then the following week, I'll be on vacation. So there'll be no streams the following week. So there we go. Because I think polls can have 4 choices. So don't hold me to those 4 categories, because I may just as well pick game console as one of the 4 categories. But anyways, we'll do that. Have a poll. And that's what I'll work on Monday. And depending on the success of the poll, that may also determine Thursdays. Yeah, sorry, Jack. No stream on your birthday. Yeah, I'll be at the beach and unable to stream. So I know. Bummer on me that I'm going to be on vacation and not able to stream. No, it is not a VCF vacation. It is a beach vacation. I don't think the Chicago area is near a beach. And I know that because one of my favorite TV shows of all time is Due South, and it happens in Chicago. That's where the show is, the like city where the show is located. And there is a joke in like the first episode where Constable Fraser is trying to rent an apartment, and the landlord tries to convince him that he can see Canada out the windows if you really squint. And I think that tells me that Chicago is far enough away that there is no beach around it. So, Jack says, I guess I should do something with non-virtual friends. Well, it's up to you. Sometimes for birthdays, maybe you could just go binge movies in your rec room or something. They bring me cake, bring me dinner, and I'm checking out for movies. I don't know. Up to you. But anyways, yeah, I won't be at VCF Midwest. So I hope anyone going to VCF Midwest is going to have fun. And we'll have fun on the live stream. Oh, I guess, I could shift away from table cam. Oh. Yep, didn't mean to play that animation again. The weekday birthdays are lame anyways. Yeah, go out to the movies on the weekend or something like that. So, yeah, with that, I'm getting tired. Time for me to go to bed. I do have to work tomorrow. Yeah, don't forget to smash that like button if you like it when I try to get these crummy old boards working. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when I go live next. Stay tuned for that poll that I will put out for what I will work on Monday. Yeah, go back and watch Wheel of Regrets because we had a tantalum go off during Wheel of Regrets. My basement still smells like tantalum. In fact, I think my sinus cavities smell like tantalum right now, so there's that. And, yeah, turn on notifications so you know when I go live next. Because if you don't turn them on, then they definitely won't work. But, okay, no guarantee they're going to work if you do turn them on. But, yeah, they definitely will not work if you don't turn them on. And I hope to see you all here next time. So, anyways, with that, I'll make sure I have the correct animation selected now. And let's see here. So anyways, I hope to see you all here next time. Take care and God bless. Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. Don't forget to smash that like button. And if you've liked what you've seen, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or live stream. And as always, thank you for all your support. I hope to see you next time. And until then, take care.